Good evening and welcome to California Today. I'm Daniel Hall, filling in for Liang Zhang. Here's a sample of what we've got prepared for you tonight. Gas prices are already at an all-time high, and experts warn that they're going to go even higher. We'll look at why it's happening. California's northern county of Shasta has sworn in a new supervisor after a recall. Locals say they want an elected official who will better represent them. And one of the first teams of all private astronauts is preparing to launch and meet with the International Space Station. They're not just tourists, but planning to conduct a range of scientific experiments. As if California wasn't expensive enough, industry experts now say that gas could hit as much as $7 per gallon by summer. Experts listed a variety of reasons of why a lot of people may start dreading the gas station. Experts say California gas prices are just going to keep heading up and up. An economics professor at California State University, Stanislaw, told the Epoch Times that both the Ukraine conflict and inflation will keep prices high through the summer. Professor Gökçe Soydemir said a gallon of gas is easily going to be $7 in California. AAA spokesperson Anlian Venegas told the Epoch Times that they don't know how far prices will go, but they know the direction is up. Venegas said California is now averaging $4.82 per gallon, 11 cents higher than last week. Additionally, Southern California will have extra prices tacked onto its special summer blend. Between April 1st and October 31st, most southern areas use the evaporation-resistant blend but pay 20 cents extra per gallon. Rachel Michelin, director of the California Retailers Association, told the Epoch Times that the Ukraine conflict will add costs to retailers, including gasoline. She said the conflict could intensify existing supply shortages and add a fuel surcharge to services. Michelin said smaller and independent retailers will likely take the brunt of cost increases. On top of gasoline, California leads the country in many other costs. Federal Reserve Governor Christopher Waller said during a gathering at UC Santa Barbara that he supports raising interest rates to combat inflation. He said that low and middle income individuals and families suffer the most from rising inflation. But at the same time, Waller said the Ukraine conflict added a level of uncertainty to their actions. Recalls have been held up and down the Golden State. Most recently, Shasta County in Northern California recalled a county supervisor who locals say did not represent them or their interests. A new supervisor was sworn in on Tuesday.
Greeted with cheers and applause, Tim Garman was sworn in on March 1st after county supervisors unanimously certified the results of the recent recall.
Over the last 2 years, supervisor votes of 3-2 in favor of state policies and against local citizenry continually denied our local interests. This recall was one step of many toward restoring local government to its proper role.
For 4 months, a recall petition organized by the group Recall Shasta County gathered signatures to recall then District 2 Supervisor Leonard Motee. Locals expressed that Motee did not represent their interests at county board meetings when it came to pandemic-related policies. The Shasta County Clerk certified election results on February 17th. 56% of votes were in favor of recalling Motee. 38% of voters chose Garman to replace him. In an interview with CNN, Motee says he is disheartened by the recall efforts.
It's very disheartening to me to have a group be able to spend that much money to personally assault my reputation that I worked for 44 years to build in my hometown.
Recall Shasta County also attempted to remove 2 other supervisors, Joe Chimenti and Mary Rickert, but the recall effort did not submit petition signatures for Chimenti and Rickert.
A Southern California man will be the first to command a private astronaut mission. That's after NASA signed an agreement with a private space company last year. The company allowed the public a preview of the plans this week.
During a virtual press conference, Axiom Space hosted a preview for launching Axiom Mission 1, or AX-1, the first all-private astronaut mission to the International Space Station, or ISS. Michael Lopez Alegria, the Vice President of Business Development for Axiom Space from Orange County, Los Angeles, will be commanding the mission.
This has really been a dream come true for me, and it's been amazing to see both the crew and the company mature and gel as we get ready for this very important step into the future.
He joins 3 other multinational crew members on a 10-day mission to complete more than 25 health and science research experiments for microgravity. Aside from the commander, they all paid approximately $55 million for the trip to space.
We are not space tourists. I think there's an important role for space tourism, but it is not what Axiom is about. My crewmates have worked very hard. I've been super impressed with their diligence and their commitment. And they're busy people, and they've taken a lot of time out of their lives to focus on this. And it's definitely not a vacation for them.
The crew will focus on life science and technology research like stem cells, cardiac health, and spacecraft self-assembly that would become a pathfinder for opportunities in low Earth orbit and open a space technology ecosystem. The crew will also bring back life science samples for NASA that have been in orbit and a nitrogen tank for refurbishing.
That will be operating very independently from NASA. But once it gets close to the ISS, then NASA has responsibility for the safety of the spacecraft, the ISS, as well as the crew members when they come.
Last May, NASA partnered with Axiom Space with the mission to take place no earlier than January 2022. Axiom Space is a privately funded space infrastructure developer headquartered in Houston, Texas. The launch is scheduled for March 30th at 2:46 p.m. from NASA's Kennedy Space Center in Florida.
An alleged gun store thief was arraigned on Tuesday. He's accused of stealing a dozen guns in Southern California's Poway City last year.
Jamie Angel Zamora, 34 of San Diego, is accused of stealing 12 guns from Poway Weapons and Gear last November. Prosecutors allege Zamora and another suspect pried open the shop's side door to steal the guns. A total of 5 semi-automatic pistols and 7 semi-automatic rifles were taken. Citing surveillance footage from the scene, the U.S. Attorney's Office claims the two can be seen getting into the shop's gunsmith office and carrying out multiple firearms. Investigators later found a stolen van used in the burglary, which was abandoned at an undisclosed location in San Diego. Inside the van were a Poway Weapons and Gear bag, a flashlight, a bandana, and a beanie. Prosecutors allege a DNA analysis of the beanie had a very strong inclusive DNA profile for Zamora. In December, Zamora's home was searched, and police found items consistent with the burglary, including clothing that appeared to match that of the suspects. No guns from the burglary were recovered, but 2 firearms found inside a vehicle led to Zamora's arrest on state charges. He was transferred to federal custody on Tuesday and remains held without bond following his federal court hearing.
Coming up, students' masks are coming off in less than 2 weeks. Parents, educators, and unions are sharing their views on how to proceed. Lawmakers are looking to restrict expansion of farms that produce animal products. Fines will be in order if the farmers break certain new rules. And what may be the biggest puppet ever made its debut Tuesday morning to a crowd of screaming children. We'll see what the commotion was all about. While California has officially ended its mask mandates for employees, schools are still less than 2 weeks away. But the topic remains contentious between groups of parents and educators. We'll hear more from NTD's Adelina Asotani.
Mask mandates are still an issue of contention in California. Some districts like San Jose are in talks about how to proceed and working towards removing masks.
For the first time, really in a pandemic like this, teachers have been placed somewhat on the front line as they're being in classroom with students. So I think it's important to consider all perspectives. I think, we have conversations with our labor groups weekly to talk about, changes in policy, what it might mean, what the reaction will be of different groups of employees.
Jennifer Maddox is also a mom with 2 kids who go to public school. She personally hopes to continue masking and recommends to continue wearing masks.
We have support of our 3 labor groups in changing to voluntary masking starting on the 14th. And so I think from our perspective, we're super fortunate that it's gone as easy as it has.
Maddox added that the school district will continue to provide N95 masks for teachers and students even as the state lifts the mask mandate. Some, like Los Angeles Unified School District, are still in talks with the California Teachers Union over how to proceed. The union previously supported Governor Newsom's maintaining mask mandates several months ago. However, parent advocate group Let Them Breed says there is no reason to wait on lifting the mask mandates. In recent months, students and parents alike across the state have held protests against their school masking rules. Some have gone as far as protesting in class and being pushed out of classrooms. Overall, in the state of California, the opinions whether we should wear the mask indoors or not are still very much divided, especially now that the children are coming back to school. Adelina Soltane, NTD News, California.
Los Angeles police officers saw a change to their policy on stopping individuals on Tuesday. If the interaction started for something minor, like a traffic stop, officers must now announce when they're changing their investigation to look for criminal offenses. Updated Los Angeles Police Commission policy will discipline officers if they don't announce when traffic stops or minor violations escalate into a criminal investigation. For the LAPD, stopping someone for something minor to eventually lead to a criminal investigation is called a pretextual stop. According to the Office of the Inspector General, many pretextual stops in 2019 did not lead to evidence of serious crimes or any kind of arrest. These findings led to the update, according to Commission President William Briggs. He said that there isn't evidence to support pretextual stops curtailing murders, shootings, or violent crime. Officers making a pretextual stop will now have to articulate on their body-worn video cameras the reason for the change. Investigation changes are not allowed to happen if the officer is operating on a hunch. Police Chief Michael Moore supported the change on Tuesday. He said, "I've heard thoroughly members of this organization who believe that this policy will stop us from identifying those responsible for violent crime, stop us from identifying those that are carrying weapons, firearms, engaged in street violence. I firmly believe that that is not the case. Disciplinary action for officers will start with counseling and retraining. It will escalate for repeated violations according to the new policy." New California legislation is targeting factory farms. Large enough operations in the livestock and meat industry could face fines for expanding. Some lawmakers say it will prevent animal cruelty.
Factory farms and slaughterhouses that expand existing operations or build new facilities could be fined $10,000 per violation per day. This is proposed under Assembly Bill 2764, which could be heard in committee on March 21st. One of the authors, Assemblyman Adrin Nazarian, said, "These operations have a notorious track record of poor working conditions where health and safety are sacrificed for the maximum profit. Although we can't and shouldn't replace it overnight, we can seize its expansion to give room for more worker and consumer-friendly operations to develop." Cassie King, a spokesperson with the animal rights group Direct Action Everywhere, told the Epoch Times, "It's some of the strongest animal rights and environmental justice legislation we think that has been introduced in the country." But a lawyer with the National Pork Producers Council says that small meat processing businesses throughout the state would suffer a significant negative impact. Michael Formica said, "If they can't expand, then they're out of business, and you've lost the ability of small processors to have any chance of competing." Since 2008, California voters have been in favor of animal rights. In 2018, Proposition 12 passed with 62% of votes. It prohibited the sale of pork from hogs that aren't raised in the minimum living space requirement. In a UC Davis study, researchers predict an 8% increase in the price of uncooked pork from Prop 12. Formica said California consumes tremendous amounts of meat, especially the Latin and Asian populations, who make up about 55% of the state's population. The new bill would directly impact factory farms that sell meat, dairy, eggs, or other products, as well as slaughterhouses that butcher chicken, turkeys, pigs, cattle, among others.
For all of the Fitbit users out there, the company is recalling about 1 million smartwatches because they could burn users. The recall impacts 4 models of Fitbit's iconic smartwatches.
The Consumer Product Safety Commission says the lithium-ion battery inside the watch can overheat. The agency says Fitbit has already received at least 115 reports in the U.S. about the devices. 78 reports highlighted burn injuries, with 4 reporting second-degree burns and 2 with third-degree burns. The watches were sold nationwide in stores and online between September 2017 and December 2021. You can contact Fitbit to learn more about the recall, including how to return the device and receive a $299 refund.
Monday night, the state removed masking mandates for all businesses, regardless of employees receiving jabs. Now, on Wednesday, Google told its employees they will be expected to return to physical offices in April.
Google is ending the voluntary work from home and will start requiring employees to go back to the office starting April 4th. This applies to employees in the Bay Area and several other U.S. locations. In an email to employees that was viewed by CNBC, Google's vice president of global benefits wrote, "The advances in prevention and treatment and steady decline in cases that we continue to see and the improved safety measures we have implemented across our Bay Area sites now mean we can officially begin to transition to the hybrid work week." The company expects most workers to be in the office 3 days a week. CNBC reported nearly 14,000 of the company's 156,500 full-time employees around the world have transferred to a new location or moved to fully remote work, and 85% of total applications have been approved.
What may be the largest puppet in the world was unveiled in Los Angeles Tuesday morning. The puppet, named Percy, is part of a partnership with the San Diego Zoo. Percy the Porcupine Puppet debuted to a crowd of excited schoolchildren on March 1st. The 2-story tall porcupine was introduced to mark the opening of a new attraction at the San Diego Zoo.
So we thought, what a great ambassador, what a great representation, a 2-story version of the prehensile-tailed porcupine to come down here and excite people for what they're going to see at Wildlife Explorers Base Camp.
Percy was built over 6 months and modeled after a South American species. It came from the Muppets creators at Jim Henson's Creature Shop.
Well, like I say, it's huge. It's about 20 foot by 20 foot. The thousands of hours. I mean, just applying all those quills, making the quills and applying them.
But the team's goal wasn't just size.
Obviously, you can see this porcupine is ridiculously cute, and it is modeled exactly after the prehensile-tailed porcupine that we have at the San Diego Zoo, one of the animals you can meet up close and personal.
The zoo is opening a new section intended to teach families about the interactions and interdependence of humans, plants, and animals. One of the animals guests will learn about is the prehensile-tailed porcupine. Animal handlers brought out one for kids to see.
And we also had the reference material from the porcupine down at the zoo, down at the base camp. And so we made an attempt to try and capture, if you like, the cuteness of the real porcupine and try and translate that on such a huge scale, you know.
Building such a large porcupine puppet was itself a massive task. A whole house's worth of paint went into the project.
Well, all sorts of things go into making it. Yeah, it's one of the biggest animal puppets that we've made at the Creature Shop. It's got about 2,000 quills, and as you can appreciate, on this scale, everything has to be custom made. We can't just buy things off the shelf, you know.
Percy will make another media stop before reaching her permanent habitat at the San Diego Zoo. Now let's take it to NTD's Thomas Christian for your update on sports.
I'm Thomas Christian, taking you to the California Today Sports Roundup.
FIFA and UEFA have suspended Russia's national team and club from international football until further notice due to the country's invasion of Ukraine. The move makes it likely that Russia will be excluded from this year's World Cup and the Women's Euro 2022 tournament. Russia were scheduled to host Poland in a World Cup qualifying playoff on March 24th, and if they remain suspended at the time, they would be out of the World Cup and unable to progress to the finals in Qatar in November. The Polish Football Association had said that they will refuse to play against the Russian team, and the Czech Republic and Sweden, who were in the same playoff path, had also ruled out facing Russia. The only way Russia will feature in the playoffs would be a sudden improvement in the situation in Ukraine, leading to a lifting of the suspension. The organization said a further decision will be made at a later date about the impact on women's Euro 2022 tournament in England in July, which Russia has already qualified for. In a statement, the Russian Federation said it categorically disagreed with the decision of FIFA and UEFA and that it was contrary to the spirit of sports. It said it reserved the right to challenge the decision in accordance with international sports law. Earlier on Monday, the International Olympic Committee's executive board recommended sports federations to ban Russian and Belarusian athletes and officials from competing in events. Russia hosted the last World Cup in 2018, which held the final in Moscow and attended by Putin. Karl Anthony Towns scored 39 points and grabbed 9 rebounds. D'Angelo Russell added 22 points and 7 assists as the Minnesota Timberwolves cruised to a 129-114 win over the Golden State Warriors on Tuesday in Minneapolis. Minnesota held Golden State to 41 of 90 shooting on their end, including 13 of 45 from three-point range. Stephen Curry led the Warriors with 34 points, but hit just 5 of his 16 three-point attempts. Golden State's Damian Lee added 15 points. Warriors 114, Timberwolves 129. Ivica Zubac recorded his 18th double-double in the season, while Marcus Morris Sr. and Reggie Jackson combined for 35 points as visiting Los Angeles completed a 3-game season series sweep of Houston. Zubac paired 22 points and 12 rebounds to lead the Clippers to their 6th win in 7 games, with the past 2 coming against the Rockets. Jackson had 17 points, 6 assists, and 5 rebounds, while Morris chipped in 18 while shooting 4 of 6 from three-point range. The Rockets absorbed their 10th consecutive loss. Jalen Green scored 20, Christian Wood tallied 17 and 8 rebounds, and Jayshawn Tate posted 12 points and 9 rebounds. Clippers 113, Rockets 100. Luka Doncic recorded 25 points and 8 rebounds, and Jalen Brunson added 22 as visiting Dallas notched another victory over the slumping Lakers. Dorian Finney-Smith contributed 16 points and 9 rebounds, and Spencer Dinwiddie had 14 and 9 assists as the Mavericks won for the 8th time in their past 10 games, and 21st in their past 28. LeBron James registered 26 points and 12 rebounds. Carmelo Anthony added 20 for the Lakers, who have lost 10 of their past 13 and 15 of 21. Mavericks 109, Lakers 104.
As always, I'm Thomas Christian, and thanks for tuning in.
That's all the time we have for tonight. Join us again on California Today tomorrow and every weekday at 8:30 p.m. Let us know what you think of the show or what you'd like to see through Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram. I'm Daniel Hall, sitting in for Liang Zhang. Have a pleasant evening.